So we will take it easy today since we're mending. We're always mending, I think. I think we're always mending from something. So we'll wait a couple more minutes, see if Pete and Sheila zoom in. You can go ahead and take a sip of tea or coffee, lie down, make sure you got everything you need.
Oh, I guess I should.
Enough, because we won't be moving much, so we won't, so you might want a blanket. I don't know. You can have all these things handy. The hardest thing about this lesson, I think, might be, well, number one, hardly doing anything. Number two, paying attention to hardly doing anything.
Right. That's
So,
interesting.
yes, but if you by chance fall asleep, then you needed the rest and you'll wake up when you're ready. Okay, so let's see. We'll wait another minute. Barbara, take your time.
Well,
Take your time.
that's all I got.
That's all any of us have. It's good to remember that. So we will use it wisely for the next hour. And let all our systems continue to nourish and support and heal us.
Oh.
All right. Okay, good to see everybody. All right, so first we notice what we notice. We notice what?
Alive.
That you're alive? That's a nice thing to notice that you're alive. So everyone for themselves, what is it that you notice that tells you you are alive? How do we know we're alive? How do we know we're alive? Is it that you are awake and aware of your bones lying on the floor? Is it that you are breathing life into yourself? Is it your heart beating? The heart and the lungs are very interconnected. Really acting as a pump, but the heart actually is a spiral. And it spirals the blood all in all the directions. So if it's comfortable, have your legs long and your arms by your sides on the floor. And notice how far apart the legs are separated. And notice the heels on the floor. And notice the direction that the toes point on the right foot and on the left foot. And if your eyes are open, you can close them. And now try just using very light movements to lift your head very slightly from the floor. A few millimeters. You know how much a millimeter is? It's the thickness of a dime. So make about maybe 9 or 10 movements like this, making it smaller each time, and just lift. So if you have hair, just lift so maybe the hair hangs back on the floor. If you have short hair, you can lift so maybe the hair doesn't touch the floor. But in any case, lift it very slowly so that someone observing you could not tell that you were doing anything, but you know it.
Mm.
So slowly, slowly try to lift the head. Tiny movements that it's impossible to observe, or even for you to decide whether your head is lifted or not. And think, pay attention to your spine. Allow your spine to lengthen in the direction of the head, which means not doing anything special, except you be sure that you don't interrupt your breath. And in the beginning, it's probably not very easy, so do a very delicate and light movement. You don't do anything to lengthen the spine, you think it. You think that the spine lengthens in the direction of the head. So let's help ourselves. Take hold of the hair on your head with your right hand and use it to help this tiny movement. This tiny movement. Lift your head with the help of the right hand by pulling your hair. A tiny bit, a tiny amount. Is it easier to feel the lengthening? Is it easier when you help with the hand? And if so, why? Change your hands and do the same thing with your eyes closed. Pull your hair and lift it a tiny bit. And listen to how your left hand helps you. Where does your hand help your head lift? And where does it feel easier to you? Stop using your hand and place it down by your side. And now lift your head a tiny amount. Only you can decide if it's lifted or not. And see if it got a little easier. And now leave that, and with both hands resting on the side, not on the sides, but by the sides of your body, try lifting just the right elbow. Only the elbow, which means the right hand will remain on the floor. Lift your right elbow a bit out to the side. So you want to maybe have your hands bent so that the elbows form a bit wider of an angle. You'll figure it out. So you're lifting your right elbow a little bit out to the side. Your hands are closer to your body, and the elbows will be further away. So listen to that gap. So the arm is slightly bent. And lift your right elbow, making the smallest movement. Lift only the elbow. Lift it a little bit to the side. Lift it in such a way that it seems you don't lift it. And make the smallest possible movement that you can. Think of lifting it. Now, as you continue this tiny movement, imagine that someone is pulling your right elbow to the right. Someone is pulling your right elbow to the right. In other words, they're making the elbow move a bit away from you as you lift it this tiny amount. So the elbow moves to the right. Someone pulls your elbow each time you lift it. And it's necessary to lift the elbow only to reduce the friction which interferes with the movement to the right. Slowly, slowly, keep it very light. The actual lifting is very small and slow. It is as if the elbow is glued to the floor and it's a bit difficult to lift. So that when you're lifting the elbow, when you start breathing or exhaling, when does the elbow lift? When do you actually decide to lift the elbow? Each of you, pay attention that when you decide to lift the elbow, when is it? And is it somehow connected to your breath? Now do the same thing with the left elbow. Make sure it's bent at an angle so that the elbow is further from the body than the hand. And begin to lift it using the smallest, tiniest movement. And think that the elbow moves to the left as if someone were pulling it away from the body. There's no intentional movement of pushing the elbow outwards. You just think it. Leave the left elbow alone and slowly begin to lift your right knee. Only the knee and not the foot, which means the leg shortens a bit. You make the smallest possible movement so that no one can see it. Even if your knees are already lifted away from the floor, you just bend the right knee a little bit and you make such fine, delicate movements that no one can observe them. And slowly means that you wait before you do the next movement. And the movement itself is very slow and very small and infrequent. But here you can also pay attention. When do you lift the knee relative to your rhythm of the breath? Is it done at the moment you let the air out or at the moment you begin to take air in? So when is it that you exactly actually begin to move your right knee. Now do the same thing with the left knee. Leave the right knee alone. Move your awareness and your intention over to the left and begin to bend the left knee with the tiniest movement possible, the slowest movement you can. And do it infrequently rather than one after the other. Let the knee come to a complete rest. Let the leg muscles come to a complete rest. And then start from 0 each time. Does that leg feel like it gets a bit longer, the thigh, as you bend the knee? Leave the legs alone and place your arms as we've had them with the elbows wider than the hands. So which means they will be bent. Some of you have straight elbows. Maybe you've fallen asleep. That's great. So the hands are closer to the body than the elbows. Anyway, you'll figure it out because now we're going to lift the right shoulder blade. So the elbows are slightly spread, the hands are slightly spread, the elbows are slightly spread, bent a little to the sides. You'll find your comfort zone. And you lift the right shoulder blade the tiniest amount possible without involving your elbow. So lift only the scapula, that big triangular bone, with, of course, the shoulder. The shoulder has to come forward, the shoulder and the shoulder blade come away from the floor, but everything else is quiet. The head is quiet. The neck is quiet. Everything is quiet. Your right shoulder and shoulder blade are the only things that move besides your breathing. Move them a tiny bit away from the floor and see if you can make the movement smaller each time. So it's as though someone is pulling the shoulder blade a bit to the right and up in a 45-degree angle from the head and the shoulder. Lift the tiniest amount possible as slowly as you can and infrequently. Pay attention to how the shoulder moves a bit away from the body and can lie more easily on the floor each time. Move your intention over to the left shoulder and the left shoulder blade and leave the right one resting. And now do the same thing with the left shoulder blade and shoulder. And pay attention if you lift it in a specific moment in your own cycle of breath. So when the air goes out, when the air comes in, Make sure everything else is quiet and you're only moving the shoulder and the shoulder blade. Everything else is in a torpor, like you're hibernating. Now, can you lift? You leave your shoulders resting. You're breathing quiet. Can you lift the right hip joint away from the floor, which means that it'll be the right side of your pelvis? And again, you want to make the smallest possible movement and the slowest one. And you do it so that the movement cannot be observed. It should look as though someone wanted to move, but does not. And pay attention again to the relationship this movement has with your breath. And leave that side and move over to the other side and lift just the left hip joint from the floor. Very different, eh? That other side. Lift your left hip joint from the floor and organize yourself so that the movement gets smaller and smaller each time. If you need to change your position for a moment, do so and then go back to it again. Make the movement smaller and less frequent. Yes, I think maybe you were all asleep. I just got a little notice that my internet connection was unstable, but okay, now we're on the stomach unless you are asleep. And place your forehead on the floor and extend your two arms, but not powerfully. So your elbows are a bit bent. Notice which direction your toes are pointing, which direction your heels are oriented. So the elbows are a bit bent. And in this position, lift your forehead from the floor with the smallest movement possible. And think also here on the belly that you're lengthening upwards as someone is pulling your hair. They pull the hair, the spine lengthens, the vertebrae all get a little bit more distance from one another in the direction of the head, and the head comes away from the floor, a tiny movement. And if you like, you could even hold your hair behind the top of your head and pull your hair in the direction opposite your face. Help your head lift, but make the smallest possible movement. So your hand could pull on your hair in order to lengthen the head in the direction not of the ceiling, but of the wall. Make a few tiny movements like this. And you can try the same thing with your left hand. Just take two hairs. Don't pull them out. Pull them away from the face. The scalp pulls, the fascia pulls, the bones hear the direction. And pay attention again. Did you forget to pay attention to the movement with the breathing? Do you lift at the beginning of the exhalation? At the beginning of the inhalation? Do you do it when the air comes out? In? Somewhere in between? When do you lift the head? Place your forehead on the floor and now slowly lift your abdomen and your navel. Lift your belly button from the floor. Lift the tiniest amount so nothing can be seen. Lift your navel away from the floor so it no longer touches. And pay attention. What do you lean on as you lift it? The forehead is on the floor. You're in a straight line. The belly button, the center of your universe, lifts away from the floor. Do you lean on the right knee or on the left knee? Or both of them equally? Do you lean on your elbows equally? Do you lean equally on either side of your chest? What part of your chest do you lean on when you lift your belly button away from the floor? And do it slowly so no one can see. Make such a small movement that nothing is observed. See if you can lift your navel without any movement anywhere else. That means only pulling in the abdomen without lifting the body. Expand your chest and pull the abdomen in. Do not lift your pelvis. And now, can you lift your chest? Can you lean on your elbows and your forehead and lift? The forehead is on the floor when you lift the chest. Just a little bit. Your elbows are slightly bent at the elbows, that the arms are slightly bent at the elbows. And now, can you lift your right elbow a little bit from the floor? A little bit from the floor. And like this, with the elbow lifted in the floor, lift your chest and keep your right elbow in the air the whole time. Slowly, the smallest movement. Keep only the right elbow in the air and not the hand. Put your right elbow on the floor and just lift the left one. The left one, you can lift it a few times. Are you thinking of getting longer as you begin to lift that? Remember the 5 lines? We haven't done that specifically in a long time, but the line of the legs and the line of the arms and the line of the spine, before you do any movement, they all elongate a little tiny bit. So as you go to lift the left elbow from the floor, does it help if you think, just think, you don't do anything, you think of this expansion in these cardinal lines? And now, can you leave the left elbow a little bit lifted and lift the chest? Lift the chest. Keep your elbow in the air. Are you breathing? How do you lift your chest? Something has to move towards the ceiling, the spine. What part of the spine needs to move backwards? And now, with both elbows on the floor, lift just your chest. Your chest a few more times. And go even more slowly. And with even smaller movements. If this is a possibility for you, put your toes so they're turned out to the sides and the heels oriented more towards the middle. And let your legs be spread. We're leaving the chest behind now, but now slowly, can you lift only the right knee? Only the right knee and nothing else. It should be slightly bent. You bend it and you lift it. You could bend both legs if you like, but only lift your right knee. Make the smallest possible movement. Your right knee more to the right so that the heels orient themselves more in the middle. But do not try to make them do this if this is not your disposition. Just think of lifting the right knee a bit. And if the heels cannot be in the middle, just think of the possibility. Feel what the actual position is for you. You can also lean on the toes. You can lean on the toes. What are you lifting the knee with? It's the muscles in the back and the hip joint. Muscles in the back and the hip joint. It's very difficult to do if the knees are not bent a bit. It's difficult to do anyway. Now, can you lift just your left knee? Just your left knee with your heels orienting a little bit better to the middle, perhaps. Legs have to be a bit spread. Sort of baby, sort of froggy, but the smallest possible movement and the slowest, so you can feel the engagement of your intention and then the engagement of your where you're recruiting yourself, what parts of yourself you recruit to do this very slow, challenging, and light movement. And again, are you doing it infrequently? Are you paying attention to the breath? Are you doing it as slowly as you can? Slowly come onto your back. And rest quietly. Rest quietly. You can bend your knees and place your feet standing on the floor, but rest quietly. Okay, everybody's still awake. All right. Sense your breathing. Sense what this lesson is transforming in you. How do you know you're alive? And now can you take both your hands and hold your hair behind the top of your head in both your hands, close to the place about where the head touches the floor. I guess you could say the back of the crown of the head. Put your arms close to the floor if you can. And pull your hair so that it lifts your head a tiny bit in the direction of the wall, under the couch, your dresser, wherever your head is oriented. It lifts a little bit in such a way you pull your hair so that it lengthens your spine. And it moves your head away from your pelvis. And you can use your legs to help your spine become longer until pulling your hair can be felt throughout your entire spine. So your feet are standing, your knees are bent, and your feet are standing. Yes, now they can be helpful, but remember, this is a micro movement. So the pulling, the suggestion of your hands moves your head away from your pelvis, and you can use your legs to help your spine become longer until the pulling of your hair, your scalp, is felt throughout your entire spine. Pull very lightly. Help with your hands and make it so that the whole spine can follow this suggestion. And of course, you're pulling equally with both hands, are you not? Not right and left, pull right in the middle. Pull your head towards the wall the wall behind your head, as though a rubber band were attached to your wall and it pulls your head like this, like gum. And do this so slow, and each time smaller. And make sure that each of your hands pulls equally. Make sure you're not dragging your head to one side. Pull in the middle. Head is exactly in the middle between the legs. Find your center line in the front and in the back. And you can use your eyes. Each time you lift the head, this tiny amount, you can pay attention. Is your head in the middle, exactly between the legs? Or is it a little bit off to the right or the left because of the habits of the neck? Leave it alone and put your hands on either side of your body. Continue with your knees bent and your feet standing on the floor, comfortably spread. Now, with the smallest possible movement, I should not be able to see this. Anybody? Can you lift your pelvis from the floor? No one can see it. Slower and smaller each time. What is the rhythm or the pattern or the connection to the breath? Do you lift the pelvis equally on either side? Make it slower. Make it smaller. Make it infrequent. Now continue to lift your pelvis, but only with the right leg. The left leg remains standing as it is, and it's not helping. The left leg does nothing. Leave your left leg as though it were dead. Somebody just stood it there, standing without giving any help. It doesn't lean on the floor. It doesn't help your pelvis lift. But slowly, slowly make the smallest possible movement, lifting the pelvis with the right. Do you allow the pelvis to turn? Now switch your intention in your brain and do the other way around. Just use the left leg and the right leg does nothing, zero. And now do it with both legs. Use both legs together. Leave your feet standing. If you need to take a break, of course you can. And now hold your head again behind the top of your head with both your hands near where your head touches the floor. So not behind it, but right where the skull starts to round down, touch the floor. And now with both hands, hold your hair and lightly begin to pull your head and allow your chin to go down and lift the head using the smallest possible movement. Remember, we're lengthening the whole spine, and you can help with the feet. And you go slowly with these micro movements. And the next time you decide, stand your feet on the floor, Barbara. Yeah, there you go. And lift your head together with your pelvis. Lift both together while you lightly pull your hair. Think of lengthening. Lift your head and the pelvis and pull your hair very lightly, but do not lift your feet away from the floor. So the weight of the pelvis lifting pulls the spine, and the weight of the head is pulled upwards, and the chin goes down, and of course the breath. We're not trying to do anything because we're all just fine as we are. Let's leave it and lengthen down your legs and rest and lie quietly. And pay attention if you lie a bit differently than you did it. Oh, wow, I can see a difference. Everybody. How do you sense it though? How do you sense yourself from the beginning of the lesson? Are there parts of you that sink to the floor a little better? Is the breathing freer? Is it lighter? Do you feel longer? Stay resting a moment. I'll tell you where I believe this lesson came from. When Feldenkrais escaped Paris when the Nazis invaded, he was on the last ship out. And he had to lie for weeks confined to a tiny cot, a tiny bed in the hold of the ship, and he couldn't move. So he practiced doing tiny, tiny movements like this while he was escaping the Nazis. I think that's pretty cool. So slowly roll to your side. When you're ready, if you're still resting and healing, keep resting and healing, but stand quietly. Stay with this quiet torpor. And pay attention if you do come up or when you come up, maybe in the next half hour. If you stand differently, you don't do it because of me, do it because you want to. And find out where and how you might stand differently. I thank you very much. And don't end the lesson just because I said that. Don't end your experience.